Millions of career whammons are considering giving up work due to the stress of juggling their jobs with childcare and household chores in lockdown, survey reveals. What about the men? Yeah, because even before all this happened, men were expected to not only do their day jobs and bring home the bacon, but also do their fair share of like half of the housework, half of taking care of the kids. Why aren't we reading stories about this, like of men considering giving up work due to the stress of juggling jobs and childcare and household chores? The answer is obvious, because men know if they quit, no one's going to be there to support them. They have to, how do we say, man up. But all right, that's that aside. Let's get to the article. Millions of whammons are considering downshifting their careers or leaving the workforce due to COVID-19, according to a new report. I would love to see the opposite of this. I really would love to see what would happen if men were like, hey, you know what? Women fought so long and hard for the male privilege of being driven into an early grave at a thankless job working long hours. How about we quit and do the housework and raise the kids while they work 16-hour days and run themselves into an early grave? Female workers have been affected by the stress of juggling careers and looking after children, often compounded by a lack of help from their partner, it claims. How many of them were single mothers, though? How many of them were single mothers? That's what I would like to know. And lack of help from their partner. Maybe I would be a lot more inclined to feel sorry for them, if not for every single time I've seen a woman complain about something like this. The man already did twice the work she did, but she felt overwhelmed, so it must be because he's not doing enough. Must be. It's about time men just, let's make it fair. If you can't keep up with the housework and the regular work, tell your husband or boyfriend to quit his job and you're going to support him while he stays at home with the kids all day. That's fair. Whammons' right organization Lean In, which was founded by Fakebook COO Sheryl Sandberg in current year -7, surveyed 40,000 employees at 317 U.S. firms for its report. Of course, it's all the cushy white-collar jobs. Maybe the reason these women feel so overwhelmed is because they have work that doesn't involve any actual work. And I've had a job like that before. I used to work for a giant government contractor. And back then, like 5% of my workload was actual work, and the other 95% was bureaucracy, and 90% of that bureaucratic work was just hurrying up and wait. That was the hardest thing for me to deal with after I left that job, I got a job at a small startup, and it took me months to get used to actually working. Because at the small startup, it was like 95% real work and 5% bureaucracy. So I was falling behind at first because I was just not used to actually having to work. Man, what a shock that was. It found that a quarter of whammons are considering giving up work due to stress, and another quarter are worried about their performance at work being judged because they need to look after their child. Now what's going to happen is these women are going to quit their jobs and go raise their kids for a while, and then they're going to demand that their old employer hire them back for their old position and like $20,000 extra a year. I can guarantee you it's going to happen. And men are less likely to consider switching to a less demanding job, taking leave of absence, or leaving work altogether to look after their children compared with women, it also found. Once again, it's because they can't. Now, single men can do this. I could do this. I could quit my current job and work part-time, and it'll be enough to provide for myself and support my hobbies a bit. That's what men are doing in Japan. They are walking away from the stressful and demanding office drone life, the salaryman lifestyle, and they're just like, why would I bother with this shit when I can just work part-time at this convenience store and I make more than enough money for my studio apartment and some of my hobbies. But men with families can't do this. Most of these men who are stuck in these thankless jobs, you think they wouldn't quit if they couldn't? Get your fucking heads out of your ass. Most of them are already financially struggling. If you're already financially struggling where you are now to feed your wife and kids and yourself, it's not even an option to downgrade your job to go part-time. The only reason these women can do that is they know their husbands are going to pick up the slack. See, they're gonna either quit or downgrade their job so they can just hang out with the kids more. Now their husband has to pick up more overtime to make up for that lost money, which means she's going to be bitching that he doesn't help around the house or help with the kids enough. That's how this shit always plays out. The report suggests employers should do more to address employee burnouts to prevent women leaving their jobs and erasing progress made towards gender diversity in the workplace in recent years. Why? How the fuck is that the employer's business? If I'm an employer, all I really care about is that whatever value I put on your work, I'm getting. That's our agreement, right? You give me work of some kind, and I give you money in return. That's the agreement. Now, I treat the people I pay well because I want them to keep coming back. It's a competitive industry. But in this case, they're basically advocating for charity. They're not advocating for treating your employees better. They're advocating for, oh, hey, I know you're struggling too, but you need to let her take a 3-month mental health break just because and still keep paying her the same amount while she's not working. And also make sure that no one else can replace her. So you can't hire anyone else to fill that job opening. See, this is what happens when people have lived in the first world too long and forgot what real struggle is. But if they keep up with these lockdowns, they're going to find out what real struggle is again real fucking quick. You know, some companies may think that worrying about employee burnout is a luxury they can't afford right now, said Sandberg and Lean In CEO Rachel Thomas in a piece for the Wall Street Journal. In fact, it's mission critical. If companies rise to the moment, they can head off the disaster of losing millions of women and setting gender diversity back years. All right, from my experience working in the office environment, it's the men that did the vast majority of the work anyway. So how about put that effort into stopping those men from being burnt out, because not only are they doing their jobs, but they're covering, all the women on their team as well. How about you focus on them not being burnt out and the company can actually benefit? But oh no, it's a lot more important to go for the gender diversity. Yeah, but gender diversity is so much more important. And of course it is for organizations like this. This organization, Lean In, they don't lose shit if these companies go out of business because of these stupid decisions. For the past 6 years, the Women in the Workplace study has revealed progress for women at all levels of management. Yeah, notice they only track women in fields like, cushy white-collar office jobs. They never track the percentage of women who are on the front lines of the military. They never call for gender equality there. They never call for gender equality in sewage workers or garbage men. They never call for gender equality in those jobs. And they sure as fuck never call for gender equality in jobs like teaching, where the vast majority are women right now. Yeah, where the fuck are they calling for more men in teaching? The only thing they care about is these easy-ass, air-conditioned, busy work office jobs. That's it. That's the only thing they care about. They just want to get money for doing nothing and then feel important about it. That's it. And it shows by the caliber of people that get employed there. Now, it's just like diversity hires in general. You could tell which woman was employed on merit and which one was just hired to fill a quota. It's not fucking hard to tell. I've worked with both. I've worked with women who earned their way into the position. And it was no different working with them than with any man there. But in recent years, I've been encountering a lot more of the other type, who were clearly only given the position to fill a quota. And those are the ones that, I mean, honestly, most of us guys, like, we volunteer to do their work for them, basically. We're just like, okay, just sit in the corner and quit getting in the way, and we'll do all the work, because we know if we push it onto you, not only is it not going to get done, but what little bit does get done is going to be done wrong, and we'd have to spend double the time fixing it. So just stay over there and don't get in my way, because if I let you help, I'm going to end up with even more work. God, how many times have you guys had that? How many times have you guys had that happen to you, huh? Where someone actually wanted to help, but every time that person helps, they do more harm than good, and they end up creating more work for the rest of you? Oh man, now that's even worse than bloat, in my opinion. That is way worse than bloat, because bloat just sits there sucking money. But these people are actively harmful. If you were to fire them, not only would you save the money of not having to pay their salary and benefits, but on top of that, you would become more productive. Now, how is this not just the ultimate sweetheart deal for a business owner? What if I told you could get rid of half of your people and also double your productivity, and your morale would go through the roof? Sounds too good to be true, but it's not. I've fucking seen it happen. But this disastrous pandemic has meant all those gains could be wiped out in a single year, Lean In says. Okay, instead of going to the company and telling them they need to offer more support to these women so they don't leave, why don't you go to these women and tell them to man up? You want to be treated equal to a man? You're going to fucking behave equal to a man. You're going to do what the men do and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and grin and bear it. That's what you're going to fucking do. And if you can't handle it, maybe you shouldn't be here. Working at home due to the beer virus lockdown has meant the boundaries between work and home have blurred. This is another positive side effect of the beer virus, by the way. The only thing standing in the way of more jobs moving to work from home has been boomer managers that refuse to realize that the productivity would remain roughly the same. And on top of that, they won't have to pay shitloads of money to rent out useless office space. And not to mention morale would be way better too. But it's funny how now they're bringing up the boundaries between work and home have blurred. That happened first when salary was introduced and you're always on the clock. And second, work phones. How many times have you had your boss call you at like 9 o'clock at night with an emergency? It's pretty damn common these days. The women's are having to balance work, childcare, and homeschooling responsibilities while worrying about layoffs, furloughs, and financial insecurity because men don't have to deal with any of this. Working mothers are doing double shift, considering a full day of work followed by hours spent caring for children and doing household chores. Once again, I'm a single guy. Somehow I'm able to work full time, do YouTube, work on Blade Devil, and take care of all the household chores, and still have a little bit of time to play some Deep Rock Galactic. All of this shit isn't nearly as hard as they make it out to be. And I've actually cared for children before too. Not my own. It was family members' kids. I just happened to live there. And, oh, hey, we're all going out. You take care of the crotch fruit. The only time caring for kids is like a real full-time fucking job is when they're like fucking infants. And even then they sleep most of the time. Yeah, you just have to always be in the vicinity so you can hear them shrieking and just shove a freaking milk bottle in their mouth until they shut up and go back to sleep. Yeah, that's about it. But once they are old enough to walk, and you make sure, you remove everything they can hurt themselves on from the area, they could occupy themselves. Fuck. And also, after a certain point, I mean, childcare takes care of it. But here, yeah, I mean, maybe they just can't stand being around their own kids. I don't know. Maybe they just can't stand being around their own kids. Kids these days, maybe one of the reasons they don't have as much of a bond with their parents is because their parents aren't raising them. Yeah, both parents go off to work, and then the kid is just dumped off at some daycare center. The fucking babysitter is the real mama. Mothers are more likely than fathers to worry about their performance being negatively judged due to their combined responsibilities during the pandemic, report says. Not that men aren't affected by this. It's just that they don't worry as much about it because when something bad happens in a man's life, we're just like, all right, what do we do to fix this? How do we get out of this? Women sit around and worry. That's the difference. Yeah, one female vice president of a company with 2 children said, I feel like I am failing at everything, failing at work, failing at my duties as a mom. I'm failing in every single way because I think we're being asked to do is nearly impossible. Welcome to the life of a man. Yeah, how many guys have you known that they're already working like 60 hours a week to afford to all their bills, to afford to pay for their family? Wife's complaining that that's like, oh no, you're never around, you never do anything for me. So fine, he cuts back on hours to spend more time with her, and then, well, we're always out of money. You need to work harder. And then he works harder, and then, well, you're never around anymore. You're so distant. And then she cheats on him with the neighbor. And what was I supposed to do? You're never around for me when I need you. And they expect sympathy. How can you continue to perform at the same level as in the office when you had no distractions, plus being asked to basically become a teacher for kids and everything else with online learning? Bullshit. You're not supposed to be the teacher with online learning. You're just supposed to make sure your kid sits there on the Zoom call when he's supposed to. Now, I would suggest homeschooling anyway if you can and skip the whole middleman completely, but there you go. I'm doing it all, but I'm feeling like I'm not doing any of it well. I worry that my performance is being judged because I'm caring for my children. Once again, welcome to the life of a man. Eventually, you just learn to just roll with the punches, okay? Lean In found mothers are more than 3 times as likely as fathers to be responsible for most of the housework and caregiving. In those relationships, by the way, look at who actually works the most hours outside of the home. Because, dude, I swear to God, one of my friends, his parents, his dad worked like 60 plus hours a week. His mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she still demanded he do his share, his half of the housework. And of course, being a simp, he did. But that's the point. I'd be like, all right, I'll do my half of the housework if you go out and work 60 hours a week as well and bring in your half of the bacon. Once you do that, I'll gladly do my half of the housework. I'll gladly do my half of the childcare if you do your half of the going out and earning money. They are 1.5 times more likely than fathers to be spending an extra 3 or more hours a day on housework and childcare, which is the equivalent of 20 hours a week or half of a full-time job. Basically a part-time job, yes. Yes, that's true. And again, this is bullshit. Now, childcare is definitely an addition, but housework? Once again, if I, living alone, can basically have, 2 jobs and also complete all that at the same time, I don't want to hear you bitching. I'm sorry. Especially since most of these women nowadays, machinery takes care of everything. Washers and dryers take care of the laundry. Microwaves take care of the cooking. Roombas take care of the vacuuming. You maybe have to walk around with a feather duster every now and then, but that's about it. Most of the time they call in for food anyway. They order delivery. Yeah, maybe if you spent all day cooking meals from scratch on the stove, going out to the river with a washboard, doing the laundry by hand, tending to the farm to get the raw ingredients for your meal in the first place. Yeah, but back when that used to be the requirement, housework was a full-time job. Back then. Now machines do it all. Now it's all fucking automated. So that's the funny side effect, though, because as a lot of this technology was invented to make women's lives easier, what it really ended up doing was showing single men that, hey, we don't need anyone else to do this shit for us. We don't need what the hell do we need here? It's like, yeah, we can go up, and thanks to feminism, women are easy now. You could just go have a one night stand, like Drexel said as well. The easiest women to hook up with are married women. No fucking joke. These same married women, by the way, that they can somehow find the time to go cheat on their husbands while they're complaining about how overworked they are. Real weird, isn't it? Real weird. Meanwhile, 1 in 5 mothers who don't live with a spouse or partner are more likely than mothers overall to have concerns about financial insecurity. Now you know what a man feels like when he's taking care of a family, when he knows that his wife and kids are going to starve if he can't keep working. Yeah, it sucks. How are you enjoying that male privilege? You fought for this. You fucking fought for this male privilege. Enjoy it. Why do I hear nothing but bitching about women experiencing male privilege? And dads are less likely to be seen as the primary caregiver by children, which can increase stress, the reports suggest. Even if they're helping, they're not seen as they're helping. Yeah, welcome to the life of a man as well. Like 90% of the work you do is just invisible to most people. And no one even knows what you do until you're gone. One Wayman's with 3 children under 5 years said there's the assumption in a lot of families that the woman is the primary caregiver. The kids literally walk past their dads to go to their moms to ask stuff. That's how you raised them a lot of times as well. You know, the pandemic has highlighted how disproportionately things fall on women. More men losing their jobs, women most affected. More men dying of the beer virus, women most affected. So sad. Perceptions of how much housework mothers and fathers do also vary, the report found. Once again, look at single guys. That'll put all of this into perspective. I am doing everything these women bitch about myself, with the exception of raising a kid. 76% of mothers with children under the age 10 say childcare is one of their top 3 challenges during the beer virus, compared to 54% of fathers with young children. People focus on different problems. The guy is worried about bringing home enough money so you fuckers don't starve. You could do your part and take care of the kids. While more than 70% of fathers think they are splitting household labor equally with their partner during the beer virus, only 44% of mothers say the same. This is why among the red pill community, they always say, like, nothing will ever be enough. It's just nag, 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 bitch, 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 bitch. Nothing's ever enough until you're gone. Once you're gone, then they'll realize how much you really did. So 39% of women said their response for most of the work, compared to 13% of men who responded likewise. Hey, guess what? I'm responsible for 100% of it, and I'm not bitching. And 3% of men could say they were responsible for most of the housework, compared to 12% of women. So only 12% say they're responsible for most of it, and that's okay. So that means the other 88% know they're splitting it evenly? Is that it? Given the enormous challenges mothers are facing at work and at home, mothers are considering downshifting their careers or leaving the workforce, or are more likely to be thinking about taking these steps than fathers. Okay, if you're a dude and you're married and your wife works, why don't you propose the opposite? See how they react, because women bitch about this, but the vast majority of them, if they were made to be the primary breadwinner and their husband stayed home with the kids, they wouldn't stay with that man for very long. If your wife reads this article or reads that study and starts bitching about this to you, why don't you bring up that alternative? Like, okay, honey, I got you. You're right. This isn't fair. How about I quit my job and stay at home raising the kids all day? I'll take care of 100% of the housework. You don't even have to do, quote unquote, your fair share. I'm going to do all the housework. I'm going to take care of everything there is to do with the kids. You can work 60 to 80 hours a week to provide for me. It's only fair. I mean, we're doing this for gender equality. So, deal, honey? Is that what you want to do? I can guarantee you the vast majority of women will not take too kindly to that proposal. And then the next day, they're going to go back to bitching at the very thing they could have avoided had they taken you up on that proposal. They literally just want to bitch. That's all this is. 17% of mothers have considered reducing their work hours during the pandemic compared to 9% of fathers, and 15% of moms have thought about taking a leave of absence compared to 9% of fathers. Those numbers are actually pretty close if you compare them to 100%. Among mothers who are thinking about downshifting or leaving, a majority cite childcare responsibilities as the primary reason, the report found. Women are also often held to higher performance standards than men, and they may be more likely to take the blame for failure. Oh, God. I can't even with this blatant fucking lie. As someone who has actually had to do a woman's job for her at work, in addition to my own, bull fucking shit. Get out of my face with this bullshit. Your average manager knows damn well that most of the women they hire were just to meet a diversity quota, and the men are going to be expected to pick up all the work. Higher performance standards, my ass. Like, how the fuck do these blatant lies even get published? God damn, I don't know. How is this even possible? How is it even possible with these fucking lies? Man, this just broke me, man. I don't know. I don't know if I can even continue with this. To combat this, Lean In is advising companies to reset goals, extend deadlines, and generally offer more leniency during the pandemic. So the company is struggling. The company is having a hard time. The company has to already go above and beyond. Just to keep their shrinking customer base to the point where they can keep making payroll. And this just shows you how this whole Lean In organization has no clue how business works. Most of these companies are already overworked, underpaid, strapped for cash. And here they are. It's like, oh yeah, just push back deadlines, work your women less, pay them more money for doing less work. When you're tightening your belt, that is exactly what you need to do to make things better. Yeah, people who don't understand how economics works are trying to give economic advice. You fucking kidding me? They should also reflect on performance reviews. Is it fair to hold employees to criteria set before the beer virus? Sandberg and Thomas wrote. Okay, this is fair. So here's the compromise. I will not hold you to the same performance standards that I held you to before the beer virus, but I'm also not going to hold you to the same pay rate, if you know what I mean. So if you're willing to do that, I mean, I'm willing to talk. Yeah, let's fucking talk. Should performance ratings be adjusted to reflect the reality this year? Yes, I agree. Let's compromise. Let's adjust performance ratings down equally to pay grades. So if you're willing to take a pay cut, I'll expect less from you. It's only fair. These are the hard questions to answer, and every team is different, but nothing about work right now is typical, so expectations of employees shouldn't be either. Yeah, that's where we are, man. Meteor ends all life on Earth, women most affected. Oh man, I am so excited to tell you guys right now that finally, after about a year of build-up and shilling, we have launched Blade Devil on Indiegogo, and so far it is doing so well thanks to awesome people like you. If you haven't backed it yet, then please check the links in the description and check out Blade Devil on Indiegogo. You will not be disappointed. Looking forward to seeing you there.